With Neil deGrasse Tyson, the author of Just Visiting This Planet, revised and updated for the 21st century, further scientific adventures of Merlin. From Omniscia.
Omniscia. That's Merlin's planet in another galaxy.
Yeah, I had to pause. Especially with you here.
No.
You know, we all get a little like, well, he really knows things. People look at the world today and they see attacks on science in our own administration and government, out to a kind of a growing illiteracy online. What does this book do for us against these threats?
I thought people knew. Apparently not. But I thought people knew the role and the value of science as the taproots of the engines of tomorrow's economy. To cut science funding here and there and willy-nilly and pass judgment on some scientific paper because you think it will never be relevant, because to you in that moment it seems silly, it's so short-sighted that it has me question the future competitiveness of the United States on the world stage. And it saddens me to observe that, not only as a scientist, but as a citizen of the country. Science was set as a priority after the Second World War, after we won the war on science, okay? And it was set as a priority by Vannevar Bush, who was basically the first science advisor at the time to Truman, 1947, a document, Science, the Endless Frontier. And then there are lines, there are chapters in it, science in medicine, science in job creation, science in security, science in the economy. It laid it all out, and out of that came the National Science Foundation. So if people don't know this character, Merlin, which I invented as a vehicle to bring science to people in a joyous way, in a way where you want to keep coming back. Apparently, we really need that right now because people aren't feeling it.
Right. Well, you celebrate that, and we showed Star Wars. People love sci-fi, sometimes more than the sci.
They want the fi of the sci.
You write that we could even get a new, quote, understanding of the fabric of space-time, where the distance between you and your destination may be lessened, which we've seen on film. Explain.
Yeah, well, that's just the warp drives or wormholes. It's fanciful today, but it could be factual tomorrow, not literally tomorrow, but the more we understand what's going on in the universe, and you can have fun with it, but there's some science. Let me be clear. The science I do in the universe, everybody loves, like Pluto, the Big Bang, black holes. I get that. But there's other science out there that is fundamental to how we think of being Americans in the 20th and 21st centuries. And without that, we're going to watch the rest of the world pass us by. And I kind of don't want that. And again, speaking as a scientist, but more importantly, as a citizen of the United States, a country I love and that I honed my science interests by the forces operating of educators and other scientists and television programming and wise investments, both parties investing in the future of science.
When you see RFK Jr. go up and say, he has an idea, he has a musing, he has a hunch, as best we can, putting politics aside, what is he getting wrong about the scientific method by leading with only what might be his musing?
So in a couple of cases, he'll find a research paper. But by the way, what's taught in school in science is here's a satchel of information, learn it, regurgitate it for the exam, and then move on. At no time is science taught as a methods and tools of inquiry to discover what is objectively true. And on the frontier of science, things can move back and forth and it can get bloody, not literally bloody, it can get messy. And only when there's multiple tests and multiple observations, when they have agreement, then you've got an emergent truth. You can't do what I've seen others do, including Kennedy, pick a research paper and say, there's one that must be true because it aligns with your philosophies, be it cultural, religious, philosophical. Just because it aligns doesn't mean it's true. Aligns with how you want it to be true. Doesn't mean it's true. You need corroboration. That's how science works. That's what science is. It is never the efforts of the lone researcher who's on their own and they make a discovery and say, everyone else has got it wrong, but I have it right. That is the surest sign of a cult in progress.
We know about those these days, too. I want to show a funny truth.
Please.
Which is that you are so learned, people really look to you. But on Key and Peele, they joke that you can be so abstract that anything could be true. Let's take a look.
Go ahead.
Neil, it doesn't make any sense. You're an astrophysicist. How can you not keep track of little details like this?
Well, actually, it's the little details that cannot be kept track of by definition.
So expect the papers from the lawyer, because we're parting ways.
Well, actually,
No,
we are always parting ways and not parting ways in every conceivable combination.
Are we always parting ways? And do you ever get out of anything? I don't know, homework, chores with this?
No, because my wife actually has a PhD in mathematical physics. So I don't get out of any chores.
What about with anyone else?
In fact, I confronted Key and Peele at the Emmys where my podcast had been nominated that year. We didn't win, but we got nominated. I saw them there. I said, by the way, there's your version of me sort of bamboozling my wife, and my wife has a PhD in mathematical physics, and here she is. So they met, and so but it's all in good fun.
So that would never work if someone says, "Oh, you missed the deadline," or "You're late," and you say, "Well, I'm only late in this galaxy."
Yeah, you could say that, but nobody's nobody's buying that excuse.
Nobody's buying that. Well, maybe they'll buy the book. Just visiting this planet.